Hi guys!
Hi everybody!
So today we're going to talk about what our first 10 nights in our new Westfalia Sven Hedin have been like, and we're going to try and compare it back to when we had our California.
Do we have any regrets?
So it's midweek, it's been a heavy work week already, so we thought time to get a nice beer and time to have a chat because
Very nice
beer, because we've had 10 nights in our new Westfalia Sven Hedin now, and it's time for us to kind of reflect a little bit. And I know you guys are really interested in what having a bigger van's like. Quite a few of you have probably still got a California or are looking to buy a California, and you're wondering, actually, should we buy a bigger van instead, or should we stick with having a California and things? So although this isn't a side-by-side comparison of a California versus a Sven Hedin, it's not that kind of head-to-head video.
Wouldn't that be amazing if we still had our Cali as well?
No, we definitely can't afford that.
No.
We thought it would be good just to talk through the different aspects of having a bigger van and actually what those 10 nights have been like.
Yeah, I think we need to talk a bit about likes and dislikes.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Do we have any dislikes?
We'll do that.
We shall see.
Yep.
Yeah, and just a general kind of feel of the van, and you can see already that it has various decorations and things, so we are transforming it into home.
It's been hard at work with
Yes.
that's for sure.
Yeah.
So, where do we start? So why don't we list off the nights that we've had then? So we've had 10.
Yep, so
they're a bit of a mixture.
First 3 nights, first night at Wander Home, at their campsite.
On their own site.
That was fab, actually. Yeah, really good
Yep.
night there. Second night was a campsite up on the east coast, just north of there, wasn't it?
Yes.
Is it near Pickering? No, it's not
that was
Pickering.
the Filey one.
Well, it was quite a bit
south of Filey.
south of Filey.
Yeah, you'll have seen the video probably of that anyway. So we had a hook up there, didn't we?
Yeah. Yeah,
And
that was
then
good. That was
the
a little
third night-
campsite with a bar and stuff, wasn't it?
Yeah, third night was on a campsite.
Near Thornton Le Dale.
Yeah, and I don't think we plugged it in that night.
We didn't, no.
Because that had an electric charge thing, didn't
Yeah, so they did a system where you could buy a card and top it up essentially, but you got the money back if you didn't use it. So we bought one on the off chance that we might need it, just to see.
We didn't.
We didn't.
We used the heating and all the lighting and everything, but we didn't need that.
So that was the first 3 nights.
Then
we had our 4th night was at the Harrogate Show, I think. Not actually at the Harrogate Show. We went and had a pub stopover.
Pub stopover, no hookup.
No hookup. That was a fab pub, that one.
Was.
Then we went down and stayed near, just south of Oxford, didn't we? Because we got the new wheels put on the van.
Yes, that was near Reading. And pub stopover again.
5.
Yeah. No hookup.
Then we went down to the New Forest for Easter.
3 nights.
With Chris and Ali. From
Caravan and
Campervan
Motorhome Club
Carpets.
site, wasn't it?
Yeah. So that was 6, 7, 8.
Posh.
Lovely site.
Yeah.
Then we had a
With hookup.
pub stopover on the River Trent, one that we've been to before, near Loudham.
Yep.
And then this weekend just gone, we went and had a pub stopover again at South
Luffinham. Near Rutland Water.
Yeah. So there's our 10.
So quite a mix there of pub stopovers, obviously no hookup, obviously sites, one
With
which
and
we
without.
one which we had hookup, one which we didn't.
Yeah.
And I have to say, so the van itself has performed perfectly.
Yeah.
So-
I think, well, there was one night where the heating mysteriously went off in the middle of the night. We found that actually it wasn't the heating going mysteriously off in the middle of the night. Will had managed to switch it off just before he got into bed, so it got progressively colder as the night went on.
Was that kind of night number 2?
It was about number 2. Blooming freezing when we woke up.
It was really cold. But that wasn't the van's fault. That was definitely my fault.
User operator error. Yeah.
But everything on the van's worked. You know, all the lighting works, all of the heating works, the gas works, all the water, the shower, everything.
Although we did have to do a bit of a top up of the coolant in the heating.
Yeah.
So obviously it had got some air in it or something somewhere, and it just got a little bit low.
Yeah.
Could hear a kind of dripping noise overnight, like a plop, plop, plop.
So this video isn't about kind of whether the van's okay or not. It's more about that comparison of the California and things.
Yes.
So I think one of the biggest differences between having this van and having the California, it's going to sound really obvious, but it's the living space that you get. Now, if you've got a traditional camper van, so side kitchen, sliding bench seat style, you've probably found that if it's raining, windy, you haven't got the pop top up, but you need to be in the van because you're just taking shelter effectively, or you've got a night in the van, you kind of live in a square metre. If we're being generous, it's kind of
in a short wheelbase.
In a short wheelbase.
Yeah.
So you've got this kind of small space that you have to do everything, and you get dressed in it, you sit, you kind of relax in it, you then have the dog in it, you might have a porta potty in it. It's kind of it's your entire space in the van, even with the chairs turned round, tends to be about a metre square.
I think sort of going from that, we had a lot of time in the Cali where I'd cook something, or Will would cook something. You get the table out, and you realise
there's something in the
out
cupboard,
of one of the cupboards,
underneath.
isn't it? And the amount of time I've spent scrambling around on my knees underneath a table trying to get something out of a cupboard, or gently, precariously trying to shift the table with a load of drinks and crockery and all kinds of stuff on it out of the way so the other one can get into a cupboard because you've forgotten to get something out.
Yeah.
And actually having a van with this different configuration, and I'm sure those of you who have got something like a Nugget or a Club Joker or a Kelsey, so that kind of different configuration will probably relate to this. You can actually have somebody sitting in one area and somebody cooking in another area.
Yeah.
So you've just got that little bit of two separate living areas going on.
I think it's almost like having different zones in your camper van, in a bigger van. So obviously the layout of the Sven Hedin is a rear transverse bed, fixed bed. Then you've got your kitchen opposite your washroom, so kind of galley kitchen and washroom. Then at the front here, you've got this seating area with the table that's removable and all of that stuff. So you've almost got 3/4 different places you can be in the van, really, because you've got obviously a seating area at the front here, you've got the kitchen area, you've got somebody in the toilet, and obviously you've got the bed as well. So quite often in the mornings, what we've been finding over those 10 nights is Sarah always gets up after me in the morning. Just always has done, and no doubt always will. I'm just an early riser. So Sarah will be wrapped up in bed, snoring her head off. And
I have so much more room once he's finally got up.
And then I obviously get up first. I come and sit down here. I'll check my emails or YouTube comments or any of that kind of stuff. And then when it gets to about 7 o'clock, I think, right, that's enough. I've waited long enough for my tea now, and I'll boil a kettle and slowly rattle around in the kitchen area next to her
Give
head.
Me a poke.
While
There's a
she's
tea
in bed.
here.
Yeah, there's a tea ready
here.
now.
It's going cold.
So come on, get your backside out of bed and come and drink it. It works really well for that. And if we think how we would have done that before in the California, if you got someone sleeping in the pop top, that was okay, because you could go out of the pop top downstairs and you got the whole of the downstairs to yourself.
Although I usually did get kicked in the face whilst you tried to get out of the pop top whilst I was still in bed.
Yeah.
And then you kind of almost laid there chuckling, knowing that he was trying to sort of make a cup of tea whilst bent over.
Yeah.
Because the bed's down.
Anyone who's had a pop top camper knows the kicking in the face, the feet in the face, the armpits in the face, all of that stuff, the twisting and contorting to get upstairs.
Kicked,
and then come back down again. And then the hunchback kind of feeling while you're making dinner or doing any kind of anything in the kitchen downstairs. Anyway, so none of the kind of bent over stuff. We don't need to do that in the van now.
Still feels a little more civilised.
Which does feel really civilised. Like in the zones thing.
Yes.
Should we talk about hot water?
Yes. Let's go with hot water. Decadent.
Oh,
what a treat.
I don't know why, but we are still really, really just blown away about camping with hot water. I think we've had vans for so long which have had cold water only.
We were campers as well to start with. So we had tents. For years we had tents. And obviously you've got no running water in that whatsoever. You go and fill up one of those bladder things and you sort of balance it anywhere around your tent. So you haven't even got any running water.
Well, we didn't even have a porta potty. We had a bucket.
Yeah.
So this is like many levels on.
Many levels on.
The hot water thing.
Washing your hands in warm water.
Washing your hands, doing the pots after you've had dinner and all that kind of stuff. Now we've got this. We don't tend to use the campsite wash-up area if we're on a campsite, because the sink in this is actually, it's probably about that size. You can easily fit a dinner plate in it. We just run a bowl of warm water obviously do the washing up, and one of us washes, one of us dries, and that's it, job done. You don't have to trek down to the campsite wash-up area thing, which some people might say is a shame because you get to meet other campers and stuff down there.
You do. I suspect we will do.
For us.
In the nicer months anyway, when you are outside using your barbecue and things like that, there's no way.
That's the key.
I'm not letting him, and I'm certainly not putting a barbecue grill anywhere near that sink at all. No, that's down to the campsite kitchen.
But most of our camping so far has been in quite cool temperatures, hasn't it? A bit of rain that we've had and other bits and bobs, but it's been quite cool. So actually traipsing down to the campsite kitchen, I think you'd rather stay in your warm van.
It's a bit miserable. Yeah.
But yeah, the hot water thing, amazing.
It is.
And I know you can get that on smaller vans. Obviously the Kelsey's got it, the Club Jokers, and things like the Nugget has got it. So it's not something that's exclusive to having a bigger van, but it's a big thing for us. Actually,
really big thing.
It feels just fantastic.
I want to talk about, because let's face it, we've had the wettest 18 months ever.
Yeah.
And
it just will not stop raining.
It will not stop raining. Well, we say that. We have had a good couple of nights in the van where it hasn't rained, but equally we have had a couple of horrific ones just in the 10 nights that we've been away.
It's also not raining now.
It's not raining now. But that fact of being able to turn up to a campsite or a pub stopover or whatever you're doing, literally stand up in your seat, turn the seats around and come and sit in here. That's it. Done.
That's it.
That's it. My bedding's not getting wet. I'm not having to put up a pop top and kind of try and make up a bed and maybe think about an external cover for the roof bellows and all of that kind of stuff. And actually, I know I'm going to be warm. I know I'm not worried about a storm ripping the roof off. Just all that kind of mental, psychological stuff that sometimes is lovely about a Cali or a pop-top van of staying under canvas. Because let's face it, it is a tent.
It's magical, yeah.
It's a tent in a van, and it can be really magical and really lovely. But for an awful lot of time in this country, it's really not magical, and we've had some really rough nights in the Cali.
Now, you see, I completely agree about the ease of all of that. It's really nice when it's throwing it down with rain. I've got a slight niggle that we might make less memories in this van. Because
yes.
Let's think about some of the memories from the Outer Hebrides, for example.
But are they good memories?
Any memories it doesn't matter if it's good or bad, it's a memory. Because reminiscing can be about stuff which was just crazy bad as well as crazy good, can't it? So we obviously we're laughing about it now. It's quite terrifying at the time. But it's so capable. The van is so capable in all weathers. You almost take away a bit of that surprise factor of
are we going to survive the night?
How rough is it going to be? And actually, one of the pub stopovers,
it was horrendous. It was
a really stormy night that night, and it was the stormiest night we've had in this van, no question. And I think we looked on the phone thing, didn't we, on the weather app, and it was 45-mile-an-hour gusts or something like that, which actually, in the whole scheme of things, is not awful, but it's the kind of speed that you're worried slightly about a branch coming off a tree or things flying around outside. And actually, we felt quite cocooned in here. We weren't worried about the roof or, anything like that.
I was fine in terms of, is the van going to get turned over or something ripped off or, anything like that. But it was still noisy. It was really noisy, and the van was really moving around as well.
It does.
So it's not.
It can still rock.
It's not like being in a hotel bedroom by any stretch of the imagination. You're definitely still inside of a van.
Yeah.
But no, it was fine actually.
It was fine. I think in terms of the size of the bed and everything else, obviously that's really specific depending on what bigger van you're comparing to a pop top. What I would say is the mattress is about twice as thick as we've ever had in a van before.
At least. I'm looking at it now. It's probably more like 3 times.
Yeah, it's a beautiful mattress. It's got the Frolly springs underneath for all the ventilation and comfort and everything, which is good. And there's no question, I sleep better in here than I've ever slept in a California.
I think the best...
Regardless of the topper or the airbed thing or any of that stuff, slept better in this.
I think the best night's sleep I've had in the Cali has basically been after a good few nights away when I've been so knackered because some of them might have been really rubbish that there's nothing else that you can do other than sleep really well.
No dead arms or funny back or anything like that in the morning. You just go to sleep, get up in the morning, and it's just another day.
Yeah. And the pop out. I was going to say pop top, but it's a pop out.
Out.
Seems to work really well, actually, doesn't it?
Doesn't leak. Doesn't make any noise.
No. I think the only thing I would say about that is if it works okay for us, because one tall one and one short one. I sleep next to the doors at the back, and you don't get the full length of bed from the pop out, because the pop out's set back from the back of the van by about that much, obviously, because you're going to have some strengthening pillars in the back of the van. So for me, half of my bed essentially doesn't have access to the pop out, and that's fine. It doesn't really bother me in any way, shape or form. But if I was the same height as Will, I think we'd be arguing a little bit about who was sleeping which side as to who got the extra space, basically. But it's not bad in any way, shape or form. No.
I think there's probably a couple of other things that we should cover.
Okay.
Bathroom, because it's kind of an obvious one and we haven't talked about it yet. So bathroom and shower, we should talk about that. And I think we should talk about what it's like to drive and park, because I know that's a big thing for a lot of people. They think about the size of the van, physically, parking, manoeuvring, all of that sort of stuff. So I'll tell you what, let's do that first and we'll do toilet last.
Okay. Finish on a high.
Finish on a high. So what's it like to drive? We were talking about this the other day, weren't we, when we were coming back from our last pub stopover. So rattle-wise and all of that stuff, we had one or two little squeaky rattles, which we've sorted now, and it's basically as quiet as it's going to be.
So what's the engine and horsepower and gearbox and stuff in this?
So this is the 177 horsepower automatic, 8-speed automatic.
Auto,
so it's the biggest engine and best gearbox you can put in one of these MANs or crafters. It's adequate. It's not fast.
This is from Speed Demon Will, whose
hang on,
whose EV at the moment has how much horsepower? It's ridiculous.
That's irrelevant. It's more about comparing it to the California.
Yes.
So we had a 204 4Motion California as the last one, DSG one, and we had a 204 two-wheel drive before that. Obviously Transporter T6 and then T6.1. This isn't as fast as that. There's no question. It's
Definitely
not as fast
not.
as that.
Probably sounds a little more.
Yeah, there's less soundproofing.
Agricultural.
Less soundproofing from the engine bay into the cab.
Yeah.
Gearbox is better in this, definitely. It's a bit smoother. Yeah. It's very easy to drive. There's no question. Power steering, gearbox setup, everything makes it super, super easy to drive. It really is. It's not quite as quiet. It's not noisy, but it's not quite as quiet.
Refined, I think.
Yeah.
It's definitely an insulation thing, I think, from the engine bay.
Handling wise, you can just tell it's a bit heavier and a bit bulkier.
A bit more wallowy.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, it's not the kind of van that we've tried, rallying down back roads and things. But we tend to take it steady.
You could hustle the Cali along better than this.
Yeah.
But I think I felt... not quite the right word, but safer doing so in the Cali, probably just because it was a bit smaller, felt a bit more confident in it, smaller in width marginally, and obviously substantially shorter and lower down. Had that more kind of, although it was definitely a van, has that slightly more cocooning feel, whereas in this, because you've got a higher roof and things, everything just feels that bit more spacious.
That said, on the motorway, I feel much better in this. With it being bigger, and we haven't talked about this, but... No. Yeah, we've done quite a lot of motorway miles already, and in this you feel, right in the kind of the middle league of the size of vehicles. You're not an HGV, but you're also not a transit or a transporter or a car. You're right in the middle of all of that, and it feels as though it's got real road presence when you're on the motorway.
No, that's true.
It really does. People don't tend to pull out in front of you, we've found anyway.
And I think the thing I actually really like is the difference between your transporter and your crafter size vehicles. It's the door mirrors on it. Yeah. They might not be fancy and colour coded and folding in and all of that loveliness that you kind of get with the more car and transporter nicer models, but they're big.
Functional.
They're really big and functional. So you've got a mirror on the side that's like this big, and then underneath it, one that kind of is fixed and faces sort of down into the side of the van. So it acts as a blind spot mirror really easily on the motorways, which is actually really important. It hadn't really crossed my mind that you've got these windows.
Big these pillars are.
And so that means you've got an enormous pillar here that essentially is your blind spot. And obviously you've got the same on the other side as well. You've got no rear mirror, so you're not looking out the back of the van. So those side mirrors become super, super important. And it's especially superb when you're driving around towns and you've got curbs and things to navigate, because you can see where your rear wheel is.
In the
So
bottom
as you're
one.
so as you're pulling out of a junction, you know exactly when you need to be turning and not clipping the curb.
Yeah.
There's no guesswork involved in it at all.
It's beautiful.
It's really, really
You
helpful.
miss it when you
for
drive
that.
your car again.
Yeah, and I think for me as well, I was absolutely convinced in the first few miles I was driving this that it was probably about 5 metres longer than it actually is, of that amount of space I was trying to give it to sort of come out so as not to clip those curbs. But those mirrors have kind of sealed it in my
helped.
mind actually as to it's longer, but it's not that long in terms of the wheelbase. So it makes it really easy to drive actually.
I agree, and this one's got front and rear parking sensors, rear parking camera as well, which does make it super easy to park in parallel parking spaces or, you know, normal bay parking, that kind of thing. We went to our local town the other day and went to the normal kind of car park, found a normal car space which has some grass behind it, reversed it into the space, and I took a picture from the side so you can see what kind of overhang you've got at the back compared to the parking space itself.
So actually standard kind of car parking size of 2.4 metres, 2.5 metres by 5-ish.
Yeah, I mean the van's 6 metres long.
Yeah,
and there's about a metre around the rear wheel.
So rear wheels touching the curb or the back white line of the space essentially, and we were in the space, taking up every single inch of said space, getting our money's worth.
But people could still get in the spaces around us and everything, and you think, actually, that's for us, that's one reason we didn't go for a long wheelbase, because you'd start overhanging the front of the space, even with your wheels right at the back.
Yeah, you start having to look for a space that you can drive through and potentially end up having to pay for two when you go into a car park.
So driving, thumbs up, really.
Really easy.
Yeah.
Super
Easy.
It's
not one of those kind of vehicles which you don't look forward to driving, put it that way. It's not the best refined, it's not the fastest, but it's absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. Yeah. If you're used to a Volkswagen or an Audi or something like that, you'll be fine. Yeah. No problem. Right then.
Bathroom.
The pièce de résistance.
Unless we think of anything else in the meantime.
The bathroom. What do we make of it then?
It's better than I thought it would be.
I agree.
Actually. I think the only thing I really dislike is the toilet roll holder that Westfalia have put in. It's horrible.
It's very plasticky.
It's just incredibly plastic.
Yeah.
It's functional, but it's not even in the right place. If you're sitting on the toilet, it's basically down around your ankles pretty much, but it does the job.
So we've obviously tried the shower in it quite a few times. I quite like showering in here, there's no problem. Obviously the toilet itself's fine. The cassette that you get from the toilet outside to be able to empty it and put it back in, all just normal stuff and very usable. It's quite easy to clean because it's all wiped down in there. There's no wood in there or anything like that. So we just use a cleaning spray and wipe it down with a microfiber and everything in there.
There's
dead easy.
There's a pin up shower curtain,
just
which
on the
sounds
door,
like a nightmare. I can't say that we were particularly impressed by the thought of having a shower curtain because they stick to you and cling to you and everything. But it pins up and basically clings to the door only. So it's just literally kind of over the door with a little bit of overhang on both sides, and it's fine. Actually, you just pin it up out of the way when you're done.
I've never had it touch me yet.
No.
For some reason, they've obviously designed it in such a way that it just stays out the way, and it's fine. It just covers the door.
It's not a problem. And what we've been doing is have a shower, and then we've got a squeegee thing. So just literally make sure there's no soap left on the walls or anything like that. Give everything a quick kind of swipe down.
The toilet itself swivels round to give you a bit more space when you're standing in there. And then once you've obviously had your shower and everything else, rinse it all down, done what you can. Because the toilet in the Sven has got a separate heating control to the main cab area and living area, you can set that to be a higher temperature than in here, and then it dries it all out for you as you drive along.
It does. The only downside
and it's got a heated shower tray as well.
The only downside I've noticed to having it a different temperature in there to out here is that you have a shower in a really beautifully warm little room, your warm shower, it's hot in there, you open the door and you're like, oh!
And we always open the roof vent in there as well to make sure there's no kind of steam or anything that comes flying out of there. We should remember to turn it up in here before we get out. So it's absolutely fine. has changed our thoughts, I suppose, about what we can and can't do with the van, because things like pub stopovers in winter time, if you're going somewhere to do a pub stopover and then you're going exploring a local town or villages or walks or whatever the following morning, before in the Cali when we weren't having a shower and stuff, you think, oh,
well, you just get a few baby wipes over your face and stuff like that.
It's never the same as actually having a shower. Whereas, you know, the last one that we stayed at last weekend at South Luffenham, it was fantastic. You wake up in the morning, you have a quick shower.
And the shower was really good, and I was lovely and awake, and then I went to see Take That.
Yes, I think that might have been a life-changing event for you.
My life-changing event.
Yeah, forget any memories from the van. I think that particular Take That concert was something special. So really, that I suppose is our quick summary, and there's probably nothing in there which is a particular surprise.
No,
it's probably all fairly obvious, but I suppose it just depends. If you're thinking about whether you should, if you haven't got a camper van, you think about whether you should have a California or a 5 or 5.3 metre long normal van, small van, or whether you should have a high top van, something like this. It's a real consideration about where are you going to park it. Do you want to be able to stand up in it? And these are obvious questions, but what kind of layout do you think is going to work for you as well? Because there are compromises, and I think that's the takeaway in all of this.
There's always a compromise.
Always a compromise. The compromise with having a bigger van like this is parking it. When we were going down to get the wheels, we'd left our pub stopover the night before to go down to Elite to get these wheels and tyres. And we were going down a lovely little back lane with some overhanging trees and, all that kind of stuff. And a branch hit the roof right at the front, and it made one hell of a noise. And I thought that's definitely dented it. Something's happened, like
solar panel ripped off, or
it just
dented,
all sorts going through our minds. Hadn't even got 1,000 miles on the van. Got out and not a mark on it. Absolutely fine, or at least I haven't found it yet if there is. But there's nothing. But it just reminded us this is a higher van than we used to, because it didn't even make me think I need to swerve around that or avoid it. I kind of saw it dangling a little bit, and I thought, it's fine. And then you've hit it. So just getting in your mind how high the van is.
Think about it basically
is different. Whereas in a Cali, it's basically like a high up car or an SUV.
Things like drive-throughs. So you're not going to a drive-through anymore. No more Mackie D's drive-throughs, Costa's, Starbucks, or anything like that. Someone has to get out of the van and go and get it, basically.
It's always
which is no bad thing, really.
No, it's not.
But just think about it. You're not going to get through a drive-through.
It's true. But you can come and sit down and eat it. But you could in a Cali.
There is one other thing, actually, I've thought of. Sorry, it's turning into a rambling video, isn't it? These skylights, actually.
Right.
From having been in a van with a pop-top, everything's quite dark in the van unless you actually start opening the windows in the pop-top, but then you get your cold air in. Actually, having some roof lights that you can open up and get some daylight into your van that way as well, I think it's actually been really nice. I've enjoyed that too. Yeah.
So, anything we don't like or anything we miss? Just quickly.
I think I miss the cuteness. I don't ever remember looking at the Cali and thinking, crikey, that's big, or anything like that. It was just perfect in every way in terms of its look, wasn't it? And that kind of that element of the heritage of the pop-top camper van and
so I think
things.
I think mine's linked
to
the
daily driver aspect of it, of how easy it was to live with in that respect.
I think mine's linked to that. So I miss the Volkswagen thing. When everyone asks what van we've got now, I say it's an MAN, but it's basically a Volkswagen. That's the way that I describe it.
Well, you say MAN to most people and they're like,
hey,
what?
So I miss the Volkswagen thing, and I'm with you. The California is such an all-rounder. You can replace your car with it. You can, do trips to the tip in it. You can go away camping in it. You can cook in it. Sleep in it. It's an amazing all-rounder, and that's why there's sold so many of them. And I think that's the final thing for me. This van and the one that we've picked, the Sven Hedin. There's a small group of us in the country now. We're all starting to find each other and connect. And
there is a Facebook group if you'd like to join it and you have one, or even if you don't have one.
But Californias, there's so many more of them. So if you've got a problem with your California, or you're looking to do something with it, or you know, anything like that, there's a much bigger population of people who have got them, had them, selling bits for them, modifying them, loads of that stuff.
Well, that was one of the reasons that we went for a Cali in the first place, wasn't it?
All the accessories, gadgets.
Yeah, everybody knows what it is.
Yeah.
So they make stuff for it.
So there you go. That's our quickish rundown of the first 10 nights, what we like, what we miss.
Yeah.
I do think at some point in the future we should get a California next to this. So we can do a proper video walk around about the difference in the size of the beds and the kind of the kitchen stuff and all that kind of stuff, because it's rare that you see that, I think.
Storage and things like that as well.
Could be quite good.
Yeah.
We've got a couple of other videos coming up for you soon as well. We're conscious that we've been taking a bit of time for ourselves, getting to know our new van and stuff, but we have got new content coming your way.
He has bought new gadge.
I've bought new gadge. And don't switch off now, but we are testing another power bank. And I know you're going to say, God, what is it with power banks? Stop it with the power banks already. This one is different because it's one that we've chosen for our van here for a reason. So do watch that if you're interested. If you're not, that's fine. Just pass it by. But yeah, the other gadge we've bought because it's really important to us, and there's a legal aspect to it as well. So do watch out for that in the future. Thanks very much for watching. Sorry it's been a bit of a rambling video, and well, you've watched me consume a nice Club Tropica. Yeah. Sarah's halfway down hers.
Please do remember to like and subscribe. We do appreciate it.
We do. And yeah, hopefully this has been useful for you. So we'll see you again soon for some more Campervan Time.